Hi everyone, I'm going to do a quick video, a very quick video on the cables on my rack specifically. I got a question from Lee, one of my followers, and he said, can you do a little video to show me all the things I could do with cables? I can't show you everything, but there's quite a few things I've done before and I know I can do with these cables. So that's what I'm going to do. So this particular rack is the Muscle Squad freestanding folding rack, the P2. This has got low cables, and up there it's got some high cables, so fortunate that I've got two sets of pulleys. So I'm going to show you around a few things that came with the cables. We'll play with the low rack, the low cables, and then we'll go and have a go on the highs. So the rack, or the cables in the rack, came with two sets of chains. It came with several carabiners, a short handle, a longer handle, a single handle because it's got one cable, you can only use one at a time, so one handle, a pair of ankle straps, and then I've got a few extra things that I wanted from my time in commercial gyms. So I bought this sort of push down handle, this double row handle, a tricep type rope, and I got a pair of handles as well, because sometimes one is useful and sometimes two is useful, so now I've got three. In terms of putting things on and off the cables, there's an attachment down here. There's an eyelet, and you put one of the carabiners through it. You load up your stack behind you, and actually I've hurt my shoulder a bit, so I'm probably going to take all the weight off, and we'll just go with the pulley only, just to demo what the exercises are. And then you can't quite see it, there's this padded bar. It's a bar with a pad in the middle. We're going to use that for some exercises, and that came with the rack. So let me just take some weights off, and then we'll hook up an attachment and we'll play around and see what we can do with it. As I was unloading it, it just reminded me to show you this. So I put some of this, this one's 3-in-1 lubricant, PTFE lubricant. So I use that to lube up the metal runners. I wanted to use this one, and it doesn't have to be this brand, but what I was looking for was something that lubricates, that isn't oil, but that doesn't evaporate. So things like WD-40, they go on, they lubricate, penetrate, but then they evaporate. And actually you want to keep the lubricant on the metal. So 3-in-1 high performance lubricant with PTFE, and this one doesn't talk about evaporating. So I use this one, and I can still feel after about a week it's got a bit of lubrication to it. So I've only done that once in 3 months, but worth showing you. So I've got nothing on my pulley. When you load it up, make sure you load it up evenly, because that's going to affect whether it goes up and down smoothly, and it does move nice and smoothly. And the cable in the pulley, make sure you pull it straight. If it goes off to the side, it's going to make it, there's going to create a little bit of resistance and wear the cable as well. So try and make sure that you're square onto your pulley. So let's start. Let's move some of these things out of the way, and we'll come to them one at a time. Now, you don't always need a chain. It depends where you need to be positioned. It depends if you're sitting on a bench or whatever. So let's start nice and simple. Let's start with the low handle, and literally just clip it on. So you could, from here with the low handle, just sit and row with this handle. That's an option. You might want to put the chain on if you need to be further back. I'm quite short, so it works straight from the carabiner. You could just stand up and do some biceps. And again, if it's pretty heavy, you could put a chain on to bring the handle closer to you. So there's a couple of things you can do with the little handle here, and there's some more stuff you can do at the top. In terms of the single handle, so this little thing here, there's a couple of things I've done with it. So I quite like to use it for single chest flies. So what I do is I just bend over, I load up a little bit of weight, not a lot. I keep a nice sort of angle in my arm, and I just pull the weight across my chest. And even without any weight on it, I can feel my chest firing up. So you can do that either side. That's an option. Or you could stick a chain on it. So let's put a chain on it. Need another carabiner. So maybe from here, again, make sure you're pulling the cable tight. We could do some flies up the way. Obviously one at a side, one at a time, one at a side. But we could fly them up here. Or we could do the old bicep curls again, couldn't we? I can do it this way around to show you a little bit better. So we can do some bicep curls, single arm. So that's the, let's just lift you up a bit. There we go. So that's the little short handle and little single handle. Obviously you could do the same kind of rows with this big long handle. You'd just go wider and you'd hit different parts of your back. I'm probably going to put a chain on for that. So pop a chain on, carabiner, hook it on. I like to face away from you. But you could grab this handle in different places. And if the chain's too long, so I need the chain, I think I need the chain, but it's too far away for me. Just move the carabiner down a couple of links on the chain. So if I drop that halfway down and hook it back on, now I can get closer into the pulley but still make use of the chain. So there's another option. Again, I could bicep curl with that, couldn't I? If I didn't like the little short handle, I could use the straight middle piece of this handle, or I could go out wider. I don't think you should go out that wide, you don't want bent out elbows, but you see the point, you could have a little bit of a distance going close. Likewise, when we get to top cables, we could push down on this piece as well. So we do quite a lot with this handle. Guess what? You're going to row with this as well. Same thing. Clip it on. Load up your weight. Get your rows going. Now, as far as I can see, there's only really rows that I can do with this, but I really like that I can row from low positions. Later on I can row higher from the high cable. So I like this handle. They weren't expensive, this was about 15 quid. So it's worth having in my arsenal. We got the rope, usually called the tricep rope, but you can use biceps with it. So if I put a little chain on, again, we'll go for short chain again, so maybe on the 4th notch. And I'm not going to do triceps from the low pulley, but I can do biceps. So I can stand up and I can bicep it. If I wanted to, I could probably take the chain off and I could do single arm bicep curls, but I'd need it to be shorter. There's a few things you can do with that rope from the low place. Again, more stuff we can do up high. Likewise, So a lot of this stuff is rowing. There are some, like I did earlier, some flies and some arm things. But I could put a pair of the handles that I bought extra, and again I could row with a pair of these, which are cheaper than one of these, and I'll get the same kind of effect. So again, I could row here. These have got a bit of adjustment in them because they're not fixed like the metal bar, so I could row them to my belly, or I could row them and pull them out, and really as I pull row and squeeze I hit my lats as I pull them apart. So there's another option for those. You could even do one-handed rows with these. So you could get yourself there and give it a twist and a nice row if you wanted. And you can get in on your abs. So some people, they like sort of wood choppers and stuff, so you can bring your cable up here, go the other way, and you can do that from the top and chop down the way instead of bottom to top. You can go top to bottom. So it just reminded me actually of something else I could do with my long bar. We haven't taught shoulders yet, so we can do our shoulder raises with this bar. So pop the bar on, again might want the chain, and we're just rowing it almost on our fingertips, and we're squeezing, concentrating on having some little strings in our elbows and just bringing our bar up. Now you probably can see why I really wanted cables. For me, cables was a must really. A rack had to come with cables. That ruled out putting it on the wall, which is why I got a freestanding one, but I still need it to fold to give me space. So I got a freestanding folding rack with cables. So almost the last attachment for the low cables, this sort of fixed handle. And again, it's a little bit limited like this one, but I like it. Mostly it's biceps curls and tricep push downs. So mostly it's just biceps, the conventional, you know. Give it a curl. And then the legs. So we'll, there's a couple of things you can do with these. You can actually do your hamstrings with these. So I'll have a go at moving you out the way on the camera in a minute and show you how hamstrings might look. But this, you could do glutes with this, put one on each leg, and then we can either clip on the back. So there's a little hook on the back, we clip on that, step away a little bit, and then we could squeeze our abs. Lots of different angles and places to go, but we're squeezing our abs, bringing our leg up. Could do that both sides. Or we could spin this around. I've never done this, so we'll see if it works, but it's a popular one in the gym, I think. You clip that on, again, probably want the chain on it, and you can do the old kickbacks, work on that booty, but I don't need to work on my booty, it's big enough already, but some version of that. So these are all a bit rough and ready, and I'm going a bit frantically. But what you need to do is play with it yourself, and then once you've worked out, okay, when I do that, I need a chain on link number 3 or whatever, you start writing it on your board. So if I show you my little board, got a board on the fridge over here. So as I work stuff out, so look, preacher curls, which we'll look at, I have the padded bar on 27, the third chain link, and I use the short handle. So once I've worked that out, if I want to do it again, I just set it up. So we'll do that next actually. Padded bar rows on 24, don't use the chain. And then all these other things are where I put safeties and J-cups for other exercises. So both of these padded bar bits get done from the low row. So let's put that on. So let's put you back here for a minute. And, oh, there we go. Take this silly thing off my leg. So we're going to do padded bar we'll start with padded bar rows on 24. So I'm going to take the safeties out, screechy noise, and the locking pins out first. So 24. And what we don't want these bigger pieces that are wrapped in pipe lagging. We just want this bit. So I'm going to put that on 24. I'm going to put the locking pin back in at the back, so that stops the safety working its way out. It's like that Sister Act scene where she runs her fingers down the blackboard. Oh, yeah, showing my age now. Right, so we've got those in. We try not to leave them facing up so we can hurt ourselves. So point them down, and then so this bar, it's just a metal bar, but this pad moves up and down. And at the end, it's got these pegs, one either end. So we're going to hook it on top of our safeties. We're going to take these pegs out. There we go. I'm going to put it on the safeties. Pop those pegs in. And it said, if we're doing the 24 one, so rows 24 no chain, so I'm going to move you around. Again, a little virtual tour. Let's see. I want you to see from this side. There we go. So I'm going to use the short bar, no chain. So what I've got to do, duck under, clip it on. Oh no, we're doing long bar first. Long bar on 24 for rows. So long bar. Then what I've got to sort of do is just reach over. It's a bit of a fiddle, but what we want this padded bar to do is just sort of save our lower back a little bit. So we can lean right up against the rack. We can make sure the pad's on. And the aim of this is to allow us to row and really specifically hit sort of upper back. But I can get a fair bit of weight on it because I've got the pad to rest on. And I'm not putting my whole weight on it. I can, but I'm not. I'm just using it to give me sort of a counterbalance. So that's an option for rowing. Takes a minute to set up. So if we do the same thing again, but we go up to 27, let's move my J-hooks up the way. So for me, I need to go to 27. So let's just whip this off. And we're going to do some preacher curls. And you could do these seated and play around with things, but I've worked out how to do them standing up. So 27. Apologies for the noise. When you first get your rack, well, it takes forever to do these. You do get faster. Where'd that go? There it is. So we're going to pop this padded bar back on. There we go. Going to go small handles. And I think I said chain on number 3. So sometimes when I want to go on like 3 or 4, I've got all this other bit of chain. So sometimes I can loop it and there's less to come and fly around. So we'll sort of loop it like that. Hook 2 bits on. Makes it a bit shorter already. Then grab a carabiner. Good squat, eh? Right, feel like a baby again. They've got good squats, haven't they? And I can't get the bloody thing off the carabiner. Right, so number 3, let's go number 4 just to be different. And we want to go short handle. And again, we've got to sort of pass it up to ourselves. But what this is going to let us do, it's going to let us rest our arms, our triceps on the pad. And we can lean back a bit to wherever we want to. I mean, the thing moves around, but you're just balancing on it. And again, I'm not just putting all my weight on it, I'm just using it to isolate my biceps. So now I can get a really nice, stretchy preacher curl. like that. Obviously with more weight. So you can get your preacher curl going. So there's quite a few options for this. I think the other thing we could do is we could leave this on, because what you can do, as well as it being a counterbalance, you can also use it when you're sitting down as something that stops you lifting off the ground when you're pulling from up the top. So let's have a look at the top pulley. I'll come and bring you back. So here's the top pulley. There it is, and those little hooks are for resting a bar on. So if we just grab, let's grab this little bar that we've just been playing with. So you could leave your bar up there. Could even be left up there hooked on. If you fold it though, it starts to get in the way, so it's all right if you're leaving the rack open. So let's just put that there. And let's tilt you up a little bit. I've done it this way so that we're not getting blinded by the light. So there's the top pulley. Down a bit. There we go. So I'm going to leave that bar there. We're going to drop it down a little bit. Take all the pegs out, take the bar off. The bar hangs on that utility peg. It stays there if you hook it on with a hook. One of those little ball things. Brilliant. Try again. Okay, right, there we go. That one there. That one there. So I want to sit on a bench and stop it lifting me up. So I think we're going to go maybe 15. I've done it before, but I haven't worked it out and getting it down fully. Maybe, let's just slide the bench under. That's going to be far too low, I think. And normally you'd tidy up after yourself instead of making all this mess. It might be all right. Let's try it. So 15. I won't put the little split pins in case we need to move it. Pop this on again. And we'll get under it before we peg it all together. That'll work. It would be better higher if I was going to do it for real. But it'll do. So what we can do with that now is we can use it. You can't even see it. There it is. We can use that to not be lifted up. So let me drop you down a bit. So that's going to stop me getting lifted up, hopefully by the weight of all the massive bumper plates I'm going to put on there one day. At the moment, we've got no weight on it, so it doesn't matter. That's proof of concept. So if I sit on it from the wrong side, you'll see what I'm talking about. So you're going to get under it. It goes up and down a little bit, but I can wedge myself in there now. And if I'm pulling and it's trying to lift me up, I'm not going anywhere because I'm being held by the safeties, as long as I put all my pins and stuff in, yeah? So if I'm rowing here or whatever I'm doing, I'm counterbalancing. So let's pop those pins in wherever I put them. Here they are. Not fall off the back of the seat. Good. And then we'll bring you around the other side again so you can actually see what I'm doing. So back round here. Now a professional would have marked spots on the floor that work, but I'm not a professional, so it is what it is. Right. So I do need a chain because I won't be able to reach. So I'm going to pop a chain on, and there's already a carabiner up there. I've got a little step if I need it. And so I'm going to use this long handle. And we need another carabiner. Carabiner. Okay, there we go. So get ourselves into position, we should be able to just sort of reach it and then lean back. And then from here, look, we can row, get a nice row going, and we're not getting lifted off the ground. So now we've gone through that elaborate setup, we can row with that handle. We can row with this one, or we can just play a tune on it. We can row there under our knees if we want to. We can mess about with angles and stuff. If you want, you can row with your pair of handles if you buy another one, or you've got a pair already. And again, you can use the pad if you want. So there's lots of ways to row from up here. But that's just some of the things you could do and involve this bar. So let's just put the bar away without destroying the gym this time. There we go, so I can do it if I don't rush. So the pad's there. Let's put it the other side, because then you'll be able to actually see what I'm talking about. Okay, so pad's up there. So what else can we do from the top? Well, get rid of our bench. We can go tricep rope again. So we could do the old gurney tricep extensions and get the gurn on. We could do the whole tricep over your head, that old move that you keep whacking your head with. You always bang your head with this piece, don't you? I have tried face pulls, but I can't quite, it's a little bit too high for face pulls, so it sort of ends up being something a little bit different. But you could play with it, maybe with some more chains. You could get further away, you could link two chains together. But actually what I do with face pulls is I get a utility band, I slap it around one of the supports at whatever height is needed, and then you can face pull them like that. And you can stack them up. You've got different ones for more resistance or less. Obviously you can move them up and down for height. So some things you don't even need cables for. You can do a lot of this stuff with your resistance bands. £20 for a set of 3 different thicknesses. So we've done that. Of course we could do the whole single arm tricep pull down if we wanted. The rope gets a bit of a bad rap, it's quite flexible. So we've done lots of rows. We could use my handle here, and again this is good for getting in close and just gurning, getting a good bit of weight on there and really blowing out the triceps. So we got those. You could have a single handle, put enough chain on it and do triceps like this, one side each. But again, you probably need another chain or something, otherwise you have to be pretty strong to get it there to have enough in you. What else could we do from the top? So we've done triceps, done some biceps down the bottom. Could do some flies from up here. Wouldn't wonder, haven't done them before, but I can't see why. I said to you could wood chop, didn't I? So you could do some wood chops. I'm not sure you could try that, but again, I think it's a little bit too high for that kind of thing. And then, what else have I done? I think that's most of it. I mean, there's so much stuff you could do with these things. I've barely touched the surface, but it gives you, you've hopefully got enough there to work out almost everything. I know what I didn't show you. Crazy hamstrings from the lower one. So let's do that, and then maybe we'll get the landmine out and explore the landmine. Okay, we're on tour. Back to the original location. I'm going to have to tilt you right down for this one. So this one is a little bit bizarre, but what we're going to do, I'll put the leg thingies on with the hook at the back. And then you don't need a lot of weight for these. What you want is control, but you've got to somehow lie on your belly. Well, sit here first, clip yourself onto both legs. It's all a bit 50 Shades of Grey. There we go. Twist over onto your belly, army crawl out a little bit, but from here, you can then get quite a good hamstring curl going. Especially if you've, if you take your time and get a nice squeeze, it is worth the weird setup because you can get your hamstrings going. Or you could do yourself a favour and just hook one leg on and sort of do one at a time. But it feels a bit weird with one leg, so I think double legs is probably the way to go. So let's just get these table accessories out the way. It's getting a bit messy in here. And let's explore the Landmine. So I've got it here. So this is the Landmine. It's got two holes, one for a 2-inch bar, one for a 1-inch bar. It's got this utility peg. And on the rack down the sides, there are loads of holes. So you can work with this Landmine this way up or this way up, in or out of the rack, on both sides of the rack. Or if you come a bit higher, you can work off the front or the back of one of the front supports. So no matter what way round you put your rack in, you can still get probably a 7-foot bar. As long as you've got a long enough space, you can get a 7-foot bar off it and use your Landmine. So I'm going to put it on. So you slot your utility peg in, you put it through one of these holes, you borrow a split pin from one of your safeties and you split pin it so it won't come off again, and then you go and get your bar. So let's pop you out the way. I'll pop you there so you can see what's going to happen. So my bar's over here, hanging on the wall. Oh, it's heavy today. Right. We get our 7-foot Big Jim bar, and we're just going to put Big Jim in here. There we go. And so what that gives us is a bar that can move around, weighs 20 kilos and is articulated. And so what you can do, many things, but this particular rack, if we go there, so there's my bar. This rack came with this handle, so I can pop my handle on. I can load up some weight, so let's stick a little 10 on, or a 5 or something. Let's do a little 5 just for demo purposes. There's quite a lot of room on this bar, so you could go to town. So one of my favourite exercises is this row. So it starts out as a row, got a nice sort of angle, or I can go really heavy, stand up straighter, and it becomes more of a shrug. So let's just see that from another angle. There we go. So leaning back into it, it's a row, and if I stand up into it a bit more, when I do it, it hits my traps and it makes it into a shrug. So I'm going to put you in the kitchen. There you go, and you're even further away. So let's take the handle off. So that's one option. If you haven't got this fancy handle, but you did buy this for a tenner, there's always the option to row with this little baby handle here, and this hits the mid back really nicely. So that was a gym favourite of mine, and another use for that handle. So how many times have I said so? Is anyone counting? What else can we do? Let's spin you around again. Getting a good tour, aren't you, today? Right. I've eaten too much today. Right, so something else you could do, again, you'd put some bumpers on it, but you could do single arm shoulder raises, you could do double arm, and depending on how you do this, it can be a bit of a chest exercise or a shoulder exercise. Depends if you sort of get right under it and things like that. You can do some sort of ab exercises by moving it around and working a bit of everything. Or something I was doing the other day, you can get your bar, you can start to row it, and again, once you've set the landmine up, there's all sorts of stuff you could do with it. I mean, I guess you could bicep curl it or something, but it doesn't really work. I've seen people do squats with it, where they hold the weight and they get their squats going. So I said I wasn't working out, I'm getting out of puff now. So I've been talking and running around. So they're all good. And if you want to get away with dropping it when you're tired, then what you need are some drop pads. I've got these big mirror fit drop pads. They come as a pair, but what they'll allow you to do then is you load it up and you go, oh, do you know what, I'm a bit tired. It can bounce. It's a bit noisy, less so with bumpers on, but even though I've got a 30mm rubber floor, this will take the vibration out of the drop as well. And it's handy if you need to lift things up. So you get a pair of these mirror fit drop pads. Again, I'm sure you could do a ton more stuff with a landmine, but a lot of people have never seen one or not seen the point of them, and you start to see a few exercises you like the look of. You could have a full body workout just with your landmine, or just with your cables, or with both. And with this one, because it takes 1 and 2 inch bars, you could use a different bar. You don't have to go and buy a big 7-foot Olympic bar. You could use maybe a bar you've got lying around, or a cheaper one. I keep looking up here because you're mirrored on the telly. So, because I can't see you, I've airplayed the camera to the telly. So I can check that actually I've only cut off half my head rather than all of it like I normally do. So, he says, So, is my head on? Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed our little video. Feel free to ask me questions about, can you do this then, Andy? Or what about if you did that? How does that feel? In some of my workout videos, I'll go into more detail about how it should feel, what muscle you're working, things like that. But this was just intended to be a whistle stop tour. It's probably got a bit long now, is it? 38 minutes, it's not a whistle stop tour, even though I'll trim a few bits out. But it should be a really good nerdy sort of in-depth look at cables, little bonus look at landmines. Drop me a comment, let me know what you thought to the video. It's as rough and ready compared to the usual ones with the intro and more editing, but I'm strapped for time at the moment, so it's almost a one take. Hope it's been good. I've enjoyed making it. I look forward to your comments.